Just when you think everything is set in stone, you need to go find a new running back coach.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're going to watch the show on YouTube or wherever you want to download your podcast, this show is always free. Never forget how much I appreciate your support. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers, join today and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. Out of nowhere, came out of the blue, USC's running back coach, Kiel McDonald. He is now the LA Chargers' new running back coach. It was first reported by ESPN's Adam Schefter. Chargers are finalizing a deal to hire USC running back coach Kiel McDonald as their running back coach. McDonald had chances to become a college offensive coordinator, but opted to become Jim Harbaugh's running back coach. At Utah and USC, McDonald worked with backs such as Zach Moss and Marshawn Lloyd, a top prospect in this year's draft. What does that mean? It means Coach Riley needs a new running back coach. And from what I was told, I did a little research, made some calls, caught Coach Riley by surprise. I have no idea if there were any underlying issues between Coach Riley and Coach McDonald. I had not heard of any, and I don't believe there were any. But again, I was told nobody anticipated this happening. Kind of like, whoa, okay. Good luck. Look, I'm speculating. Maybe this move had something to do with the lack of California running back recruiting success. Maybe not. Again, I'm purely speculating right now. However, the running backs that Coach Kiel McDonald recruited to USC, they're from Texas, including this year's running back class, Brian Jackson. But it's one thing to go get great running back prospects from other parts of the country, but you have to show some interest with your local neighbors too, right? Look, a lot of times the spin, and we'll hear it. I'll repeat it. The coach liked someone better than what's going on close to home. It's a convenient built-in excuse. A lot of times there's truth to it, but a lot of times it's like, you know what? This coach likes this running back better than the one that's in his own backyard. So let me throw a little subplot into that. Now that Coach Kiel McDonald is going to be coaching in the NFL, and we're talking about recruiting a little bit, how does that affect Carson Cox, the running back from Oak Hills? He was number one on USC's running back wish list for the 2025 recruiting class. Last year, Marshawn Lloyd got the brunt of the workload. And when he wasn't on the field, Austin Jones was picking up the slack. The year before that, it was Travis Dye with Austin Jones, and you had a little bit of Darwin Barlow sprinkled in. At Utah, Coach Kiel, he helped Tavion Thomas set Utah's single-season rushing touchdown record, and Zach Moss earned the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year honors. Utah led the Pac-12 in rushing in 2021. McDonald also coached Ty Jordan to a freshman All-American season, AP Pac-12 Newcomer of the Year, and Pac-12 Offensive Freshman of the Year in 2020. Obviously, USC doesn't focus their offense around the running game. And when you have Caleb Williams on your team, sometimes sacrifices have to be made. So at least to me, sometimes it felt like the running game was sacrificed. And as a result, I think hopefully, they're going to be redshirt freshmen this year. Hopefully the development of Quentin Joyner and Marion Peterson wasn't affected too much. Because when Caleb Williams wasn't dropping back to pass, Marshawn Lloyd and Austin Jones were the guys. They were the ones who were getting whatever handoffs were coming, they were getting. So I don't think we're ever going to know what kind of development, the impact that Coach McDonald had, because essentially what we saw from him, from his running back room, it was coming from already proven commodities. I mean, we knew what Travis Dye was from Oregon. You knew what we were getting from Austin Jones at Stanford, and Marshawn Lloyd. You saw what he's capable of doing when he's healthy. You saw a little bit of that when he was healthy at South Carolina. So, what is the impact that on special teams? Don't forget, Kiel McDonald. He was one of the special teams consultants, coaches. He worked with the return specialists these past 2 seasons, which also begs the question. And I'm not trying to downplay the loss of Coach McDonald, but I'll keep it real. How vital and important is a great, and I'm using figure quotes, a great running back coach? And let me kind of lay it out this way. I mean, was Todd McNair the running back coaching guru when he was at USC? Or did Reggie Bush and Lendale White make his life a little bit easier? You think Barry Sanders was taught those moves by his running back coach? Probably not. Great running backs typically can be forecasted while they're in high school. I just saw a video, maybe some of you did as well, the other day. It was breaking down the myth behind the recruiting star ranking system. Long story short, highly ranked running backs have the highest percentage chance to make it in the NFL. The point of that was that if you're a 4 or 5-star running back recruit, the college running back coach can help develop and refine your skills, but you're already being seen as an NFL type of running back. But here's the thing. If the offensive line isn't opening holes, even Reggie Bush is going to struggle. That's why Barry Sanders made a career out of running east-west before he can go north-south. In the next segment, as you can see on the rundown, I'm going to put up a hot board list of candidates. Some names are obvious, others maybe not so much. However, with spring camp right around the corner, I mean, less than a month away, just over 3 weeks. First day of spring camp, March 19th. I think it's probably prudent to get somebody on the payroll really quickly, right? You don't want to waste too much time on this. Excuse me. And it's not like USC is the only school, looking for coaches right now. But again, running back coach, position coach, is it a high priority? No. Is it something you want to get taken care of soon? Yes. Because you just want to keep things moving, keep things fluid. I think Lincoln Riley thought, at least I'm going to be able to keep my offensive staff intact going on 3 years straight. Not so much. So he replaced the defensive staff. For the most part now, the offensive staff has stayed intact. First coach to the NFL off that side of the ball, Kiel McDonald. So now we'll see who Lincoln Riley brings in. Grocery bills are getting really expensive. I mean, really expensive. But now they don't have to be. Start getting cash back on all of your grocery shopping with the free Ibotta app and get cash back every time you shop. Ibotta is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and you're going to get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account, PayPal, or gift cards. Join over 50 million users and you earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands and retailers, including Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's B like boy, OTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONCollege. Right now, on the show, I'm going to give you a bunch of hot takes, in-depth analysis. Well, let me give you my hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with one of my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans team. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans team. And these guys give you super low rates with flexible payment terms. Rounding out their lineup, they've got their auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. With these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. Look, I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. Visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding area and let one of their amazing team members help you. Or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com. That's LOGIX banking.com. All right. Who should USC throw their feelers out at? Picking up the phone, seeing who's available. Maybe even more importantly, who's calling USC? I'm going to put out my list of guys I'd like to see Lincoln Riley go after. And mixed in this list is one guy who I was told actually reached out to USC. Now, on that note, when an assistant coach reaches out, it means one of two things. Number one, he's leveraging for a pay raise at his current place of employment, or he doesn't like his current situation. As I mentioned, Coach Riley, he needs to move sort of quickly because, spring camp starts soon and the recruiting dead period will be over soon. So this is my personal hot board list, and it's in no particular order. What about running backs coach Lee Marks? He's entering his second season with Washington, and he's built a reputation as one of the conference's top recruiters, including he brought in through the transfer portal Dylan Johnson from Mississippi State. Well, his teammate is now at USC, Jaquavius Marks, Woody. And then he also brought in Daniel Nagata from Arizona State, California prospect. He also recently secured a commitment from California's top 100 prospect running back Tybo Rogers. He was part of the 2023 class from Bakersfield High School. Before he came to Washington, he also helped develop Alexander Madison into a future NFL starter. He played at Boise State. Now, why am I putting Lee Marks on this list? I'll tell you why right now. Jed Fish just took over the Washington program. I don't know how familiar Marks is with them, so he could maybe want to decide to leave. Last season, Washington's top two running backs, Wayne Talapa. I hate these tongue twister names. Taula Papa and Cameron Davis combined for 1,400 yards and 24 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I'm frustrated. I hate those names. It's going to be my Friday rant one of these weeks. Anyways, here's the most important thing if you want to consider this guy. The Huskies running backs did not lose a single fumble the entire season last year. That's impressive. Here's another kind of random name out of the box. Scotty Graham. He is Jed Fish's current running back coach. So why am I saying, what's the infatuation? He played at Ohio State, so that's a plus. USC's moving into the big conference. He's familiar with the landscape. And now that he's been part of the Pac-12, he's familiar with the Pac-12 landscape. And he also played in the NFL, so he can point to that during the recruiting. here's something. I noticed one of Coach Riley's staff confidants started to follow this guy on social media, somebody on Coach Riley's staff. His name is Keenan Hall. He's the Baylor running backs coach. If you want to make the Texas kids who are already on USC's roster feel at home, a little bit more comfortable, this makes sense. Now, he was at SMU earlier in this offseason. Then he went to Baylor. When he arrived at Baylor, Dave Aranda gave him the associate head coach label. So here's my question. Does he recruit California? And does he want to make a second move this offseason? Remember, SMU to Baylor. Does he want to leave Baylor before he's even unpacked his bags? Big name, Tashard Choice. He is the running backs coach at Texas right now. Highly regarded, recruits well, and his guys produce. Look, number one rule in sales. Ask for the sale. In other words, if you don't ask Choice if he wants to be USC's running backs coach, you can't get turned down. So here's the question. Does Coach Riley want to be turned down twice by the same guy? Don't forget, he was all set to be USC's running back coach when Riley took over back in 2021. Then Texas called. So he was USC's running backs coach for about a week. Here's another name, Carlos Laughlin, the running backs coach from Oregon. He joined the Duck staff in the spring of 2022, and he's actually considered one of those young up-and-comers. He was named one of On3's 30 Rising Star Power 5 assistant coaches last fall, a list that's based on votes and feedback from numerous sources around the coaching world. And Carlos is considered a very strong recruiter. He got his start in high school doing high school relations stuff at Memphis with Mike Norvell, and then he followed him over to Florida State. For what it's worth, Laughlin has been actively interviewing, and there was actually mutual interest in the Tennessee Volunteers gig this offseason. He chose to stay at Oregon. Now, this would be a great hire, if for nothing more than it's a swipe at Phil Knight University. And speaking of sticking it to someone, anyone considering Deshaun Foster? Maybe he wants to be USC's running back coach instead of the UCLA head coach? I'm kidding, of course not. He's not going to leave that job. We all have our faults here and there. We all have skeletons in our closet. He loves UCLA. Let's not hold it against him. What about this name? Keith Bonifa, Michigan State running back coach. He's the current running back coach for Jonathan Smith. And much like the Baylor running back coach, if he did decide to come to USC, it would be his second move this offseason. I don't think it's going to happen. Now, it would be a nice fit, though, because Jonathan Smith made him the assistant head coach and co-special teams coordinator. So we know that's what Kiel McDonald did at USC, coach running backs, and he was also one of the special teams coordinators. He's from Oakland, California, and he's been coaching on the West Coast. Well, I guess I should say the West region for his entire career before this move to East Lansing, Michigan. And if you look at his resume, pretty impressive. Now, he started on the defensive side of the ball and special teams at Hawaii. That's where he went to school, by the way. He then coached running backs at Boise State, Washington, back to Boise State, and this past season, he was at Oregon State. Here are some of the guys he's developed. This past season's Doak Walker semifinalist, Damian Martinez. And you might recognize these names: George Halani and Salvin Ahmed, Miles Gaskin, Jeremy Avery, Doug Martin, Jay Ajay. Washington and Boise State, they've got some good running backs. You want to go get a guy from the NFL? Maybe Kennedy Polamalu wants to come home. These last 2 years, he's been with the Raiders, and now he's the Seattle Seahawks new running backs coach. Oh, you want to go snag somebody from Stanford who usually has a good running game? The name is Malcolm Aggu. Now, before he came over to Stanford, he was at Sacramento State. You're saying, all right, well, Sacramento State to Stanford. Okay, he's on an upward trend. When he was at Sacramento State, and USC fans, you're going to remember this guy. He helped develop running back Cameron Scatterbo. Yeah, the guy from Arizona State that almost beat USC this past season. And he also worked at North Dakota. So I'm sure Coach Matt Entz knows who he is as well. Not North Dakota State, North Dakota. But it's not like North Dakota State. Well, it's not like North Dakota is a really big population state. I'm sure they know each other. Running back coach. Do you need a big name or a solid developer and a recruiter? That's what you need. You need somebody who knows how to develop and who can recruit. I don't think you need to have a big time name. I'll keep this list updated. Let me know what you think. Who else? Did I miss any names? Who would you throw out there? I'll tell you that name, Malcolm Aggu. I like that one. If you want to go back to the pros, Kennedy Polamalu makes sense. I know he doesn't have to coach with Lane Kiffin. Like I said, it never hurts sticking it to Oregon. So see how much interest Carlos Lachlan has. He's been interviewing. Pardon me. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers, you're going to go get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets. Yep, they got those. They've got live same-game parlays. They've got exclusive prop bets, and they've got more than just that. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, this week's Friday rant. I'm staring at you, USC men's hoops team. It's rivalry week. You're having a crappy season. You've already lost to UCLA at home. And your chances of winning the Pac-12 tournament are they're about as good as me getting a phone call from Outkick's Charlie Arnault and asking me out for a date. And it's possible, highly unlikely. All I want is a win against UCLA to salvage the season. That's it. USC football let me down. USC basketball has already let me down once this year. See what you can do. See what you can do for the fans. The Trojans, they're 10-16, 4-11 in conference. They're taking on UCLA, 14-12, 9-6. The game is Saturday night, 7 p.m., Poly Pavilion. USC is 1-8 on the road through road games, and they've lost their last 7 in a row. Yeah. I mean, what are the chances that USC is going to marshal its forces and come together for a full game? Yeah, not likely. Would it kill Boogie Ellis to have one final hurrah before he gets a look from the NBA? In USC's last game at home, a loss in double overtime after giving away a 16-point second half lead. The Trojans were out-rebounded in that game, 47-22. Double overtime. So here's my message, my memo to Joshua Morgan, to Vince Uwachukwu, to Arrington Page, to Kajani Wright. You're the 4 big guys at Lincoln Riley that Coach Enfield likes to play on a consistent, regular basis. Make this your last meal. Pretend it is your last meal. gorge yourself. Challenge each other. Say the first one to 10 rebounds wins. I don't know. You guys decide what you win, but make it a competition. I mean, 22 rebounds in a 2 overtime game at home is one of the grossest statistics I've ever seen. I would have gotten thrown out of the game with a technical. I would have not put up with that. I don't know. Maybe USC can catch UCLA still licking their wounds. You know, UCLA, I mentioned their record. They're coming off these are hard losses to shake, by the way. They lost at home in their last game, 70-69, with a tip-in, 0.2 seconds remaining against Utah. USC actually beat Utah. UCLA, they met at the Galen Center back on January 27th. Both teams at that time had an 8-11 record. Since then, UCLA went on a 6-game winning streak before that loss to Utah. USC is 2-5 during that stretch. And UCLA actually kind of came into Galen Center and kicked USC's ass. 65-50. Would I like a 6-game winning streak? Yes. But I'll tell you what, I'll take this one and I'll be satisfied. And I think at this point, most USC fans will as well. So there it is. That's my Friday rant. USC hoops, USC men's basketball, one time. Like Eminem, one time. This is your time. Make it happen. All right. That's it for this episode of Locked on USC. I'll probably have a post-game reaction from the USC-UCLA basketball game. Hopefully it's a USC win. So until then, everyone, you know what to do. And I will be back next week with another 5 episodes of Locked on USC because that's what we do around here.